Okay, in the second notes problem, we have another quadratic here. We're going to go through the same questions that we went through in the first one. So again, your discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. So this time, we got the opposite of 5 squared, or sorry, negative 5 squared, not opposite of 5. It's b squared. This is a, this is b, this is c. So it's b squared, so negative 5 squared, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 11 this time. So negative 5 squared is 25, minus 4 times 1 is 4, times 11 is 44. So then if we go ahead and subtract that, in this case we get negative 19. Yeah, negative 19. Okay. So there's our discriminant. Now from the discriminant we should be able to answer these other questions. Well, the number and type of solutions. Well, your discriminant is negative. Well, when your discriminant was negative, you had 2 complex solutions. So we have 2 complex solutions. How many x-intercepts did you have? Well, x-intercepts, we don't have any x-intercepts for this graph. This graph is either going to be totally above or totally below our x-axis. So we have none. Okay. Can it be factored? Well, in order to be factored, recall from the other side of yesterday's note sheet, factoring had to be positive square number or had to be 0. Couldn't be negative. So, can it be factored? This would be no. Why? Oops, sorry. No, why? Because, this would be because, not why. Because the discriminant is negative. As soon as your discriminant's negative, it can't be factored. Now, would completing the square be a good option? Well, recall, in order to complete the square nicely, a should be 1 and b should be even. Well, a is 1, but b is not even, so this is going to be the same reason as the previous question. No, because the b is odd. Okay? Okay, so now what is the best method to solve by? Well, factoring is bad, completing the square is bad, so what's really your bailout plan? Your bailout plan is a quadratic formula. So best method is going to be the quadratic formula. Okay, so let's do that. So we've got x equals the opposite of b, so the opposite of negative 5. Actually, let me write the equation over here, down here, so we can see it. X squared minus 5x plus 11 equals 0. So opposite of negative 5 is positive 5. Plus or minus the square root. This is b squared minus 4ac. Well, we already have that. b squared minus 4ac is negative 19. So let's just go ahead and plug that in. So this is negative 19 all over 2 times a, and a is 1. So what's x? X equals 5 plus or minus. Now the negative is going to come out as an I. Can't reduce the square root of 19, and then that's all over 2. So here is your solution. Okay? And remember, we said we were going to have 2 complex solutions, and we do. There's our 2 complex solutions. Now, if you want to check to see, you're not going to be able to tell what the solution is, but we can tell if this makes sense. So if we plug in this equation and we hit graph, notice what happens. Your parabola is totally above the x-axis. That's why we have imaginary solutions, because we have no x-intercepts. Okay? So those were the problems from the notes. I will work through some of your homework problems as well.